I've always been someone who subscribed to the idea that achieving big things takes time, it takes learning, it takes compounding your efforts over a great duration of time. But in today's video, I do want to talk about how potentially with elevated, high thinking, aggressive thinking, and attributing some ideas from the compound effect, putting those ideas together, how on a more aggressive timeline, your 10-year goals, your 5-year goals can be achieved much more rapidly in, say, 2 years. And so here are the principles. The first idea is to elevate your goal. Perhaps it's Grant Cardone, who's most famous for his idea of 10xing your goals.
I go 10x with all my targets. I like my targets being nice and big. That's what Daddy didn't teach you.
His 10x rule is basically this idea that whatever your target is, make it 10 times bigger. If your goal is to make $100,000 this year, what if you hypothetically elevated your goals to $1 million a year? If you wanted to sell 10,000 units of your product for your business, what if you tried to sell 100,000 this year? This idea of hypothetically, for a short while, 10xing your goal, making the target 10 times what you initially had set out to achieve, really affects your creativity and forces you to solve the problem in a completely different way. The second principle then is to figure out all the things you could do to make that 10x goal a possibility, and then to figure out the singular one focal point, one discipline, one habit that you can turn into a daily implementation in the direction of that goal. This is an idea that I learned from the book The One Thing by Keller, and here's just a few lines from it. Knocking out 100 tasks for whatever reason is a poor substitute for even doing one task that's meaningful. Not everything matters equally, and success isn't a game of who does the most. Once you've figured out what actually matters, keep asking what matters most until there is only one thing left. That core activity goes at the top of your success list. This is your single most important focal point. I'll give you a few examples of this. For instance, my YouTube channel. It took me a full year of uploading to finally realize that the singular most important component, the one focal point of my channel, isn't the shooting, it isn't the editing, it has nothing to do with transitions, having a great background. It comes down to writing. The success of my YouTube channel, at least with the format that I have, it comes out to teasing out a great message, a great idea, something I can share. It comes down to writing a great joke. And so the most important focal point for me for success on this platform is writing 30 to 60 minutes every single day. If we were to look at the example of sales, it's been determined that the singular most important component in sales is minutes spent in front of a prospect. But to get those minutes in front of a prospect, you simply have to make prospecting calls. Prospecting calls to potential clients is the singular focal point in sales. And so every domain, every discipline has its own singular focal point, one activity, one discipline that matters far above the rest. And if you combine a high-level elevated goal in which you maybe 10x your original target, and also determine from that 10x goal what that singular focal point is that you would show up to every single day, this would violently, aggressively move you in the direction of your target much, much faster. The third principle then is that once you've figured out your 10x goal and the singular focal point that you need to show up to every day, continually upgrade your skills, innovate on that focal point, learning, improving your skills, finding a little bit of time every day or every week to find out how you can get better at that process. Now there's two parts to this. There's this story about a professor at UC Berkeley, I believe, and he was teaching a photography class, and he had one group of his students take more photos. Their grade was determined by the number of photos they took, and the second group simply had to turn in one photo at the end of the semester. And the group that ultimately did better wasn't the group that focused on quality of photo, but rather the group that simply took more photos, because by trial and error they simply became more accomplished. But you can actually speed up the progress by which you become good at your focal point and get results from it by actively learning, self-teaching, being an autodidact. This is a principle that I'm trying to pay more and more attention to because over the long haul, it pays enormous dividends. In my day job, I'm a Salesforce consultant, a software consultant, and I do try to find 15 to 30 minutes every day in which I can study more documentation so that I can become a better consultant over the long haul. And the final principle is to stay consistent until you get momentum and and even after you start to catch momentum. Once you actually start getting a taste of the thing that you're going for, it can actually freak you out. Or to get into that mindset that I've gotten a bit of success now, so I can just chill now. An important message to remember with regard to this is that success, no matter what your terrain is, it can only be rented, and the rent is due every single day. This is a phrase from Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect. But once you start getting an inkling, a taste of the goal that you were going for, either 1x or 10x, don't neglect the process that got you there. Continually honor the process like it is a spiritual discipline. In Hinduism, there is this term sadhana, which simply means the discipline that you show up to every day that makes you the person that you're going to be. Sadhana, your daily disciplines. And what I like about that is it's outside of results. So regardless of what result you're hitting or not hitting, show up to the process, love the process, and keep honoring it even when you do catch momentum, because that's what got you there. And if you honor this system, it's actually astounding what you can accomplish after just a little bit of time. 2 years ago, I felt as if I had nothing going for me. I had just left my job as a teacher, I just dropped out of drama school in London, and I was aimless. I didn't think that the things that I really wanted would ever be possible for me. And 2 years later, while I still feel as if I have so much left to do and I shouldn't take my eye off the ball, I have all this momentum, all this hope, all this clarity, and it all came from recognizing what my goal was, what the biggest version of my goal was, and what the singular focal point was that could get me there. Both with regards to my work as a consultant and as an actor. It all came down to recognizing the target and innovating on the focal point that could get me there. If you're new to the channel, my name is Nikhil. This channel features one genuine video every Sunday and a comedy sketch every Wednesday with topics in mind for the creative entrepreneur. If that appeals to you, consider subscribing. And for those of us who are willing to elevate our thinking with regards to our goals, find our focal points, upgrade our skills, and to show up until we get momentum, and even after, to us I say, greatness is coming. Thanks for watching as always, guys. I will see you next time. Cheers.